First, I'd like to welcome all of our attendees to the Windshire Group's Ask the Expert series, How to Leverage the Digital Revolution in Early Stage Companies, with our special guest from the Court Square Group. My name is Jen Bardsley, and I'll be serving as your moderator for today's webinar. I currently serve as the account manager slash operations manager for the Windshire Group. So I would like to note that the views expressed in this webinar are those of the panelists. It's for informational purposes only. It's not intended as legal or regulatory advice. And to introduce our panelists, we have Dr. James Blackwell, who's president and principal consultant for the Windshire Group, which was founded in 2011. The Windshire Group accelerates development and manufacturing for commercializing therapies and provides quality expertise. Dr. Blackwell has been a leading industry consultant for more than 15 years. And we also have Keith Parent, who is a founder and CEO of Court Square Group. He leads the company and the vision for using IT as a strategic enabler for life science companies from preclinical all the way to manufacturing.
The webinar today really is the marriage of the user requirements for small companies and the marriage of that and the IT structure and organization of the company. It's a very important factor. And why is this important? This is very important for small companies because it's important for them to improve their operational efficiency. People spend less time looking for stuff, and it speeds up your business processes. And you want to facilitate decision making. You want to be able to access the most current and correct information, and it increases organizational value. A disorganized information with their information all over the place can kill a deal. We've seen that happen. Due diligence and data rooms need to be well designed and populated with good information to facilitate deal making. So that can be very important to small companies. And you're creating very valuable information. And this will be important later for your regulatory filings and for compliance needs, and for your technical people who want to access and understand the history in terms of what's happening within the organization. So this helps you avoid compliance issues later, patient privacy laws, health authority issues, or potentially even SEC violations. And also it creates a more satisfied workforce. Studies have shown people are happier when they're dealing with environments that are well organized and they're able to work efficiently. Nobody wants to be in a cumbersome, inefficient, time-wasting environment.
So question number one, all our documents and data are stored in different places, including people's email. We need to organize and consolidate. How do we consolidate without creating a burden on our scientists and development personnel?
Hey, Jenny, I'm going to jump on this question if you don't mind. And first, I want to thank you, the Windshire Group, for inviting Court Square to be part of this Ask the Expert series. And our goal today, is working with our expertise around managing lots of companies all the way from, the largest pharma companies down to the smallest startup companies. And, we see this illustration that we see in front of us right now talks about a lot of the different things that we see in our client base where people have documents everywhere, and it could be content, it could be Excel spreadsheets, it could be PDF documents, it could be Word documents. People are trying to edit things and sending different versions over. One of the biggest problems that we have is that people can't find anything. We did a project with one client who wanted to put in a governance plan and a governance model for their environment. And one of the problems that they had is that they anticipated and calculated that they lost 40% of their productivity just on trying to find documents. So when you think about that over the course of a company, as you start to grow, it's easy when you only have a couple people and you're sharing one area, whether it's Box or Dropbox or some people have Ignite. There's lots of different tools that are out there. They could have their file share. But the goal is, how do we find documents? How do we make it so that it's efficient for us to work this way? And also, when you start to hire new people coming into an organization, the people in the business side have one way of looking at how their documents are. The people in the lab may have a different way of looking at it. They may be using different applications. Everybody's got a laptop typically, or they've got some other device, and trying to correlate all those documents around an environment becomes a real nightmare. What's the most common way that people do things? James, where have you found some of the biggest things with your clients?
Well, Box, SharePoint, things like that. And to your point, Keith, we helped the client with a BLA filing. They had documents strewn throughout Box. The time wasted people spent looking for things and information to pull that BLA together was horrific.
One of the things, I think, Jenny, if you could hit the next slide, it'd be great.
Sure.
We find so often people use email as the content management system. And I can't stress enough, email is great for doing email. It's a transactional setup for sending documents between people and using things and things that you don't really want to use email as a content management system. It's not meant to do that. It's easy enough to put folders out there. It's easy enough to put rules out there, but you're not doing the proper backups that you should be doing about that. It's easily corrupted. Some people have very large mailboxes. They don't understand about copying those content databases or using that. And particularly if you're going to be talking to regulatory authorities, whether you're getting ready for an IND or you're getting ready for any kind of meetings with a health authority, you want to be able to keep that information elsewhere. So we can't stress enough how not to use email as a content management system. And that could be every bit of content. Some people find that they have issues with sizes of documents that they're going to share or content that they're going to share with each other. If you have large SAS data sets that you're sharing between different groups, you just can't email those around. So our goal would be to say, let's put something in place that will help you to categorize and find documents. There's lots of problems that you have with documents themselves. Some things may be searchable, they may not be searchable. I think that we'll talk later on in the presentation about a couple things. One area is OCRing of documents. OCR stands for optical character recognition. Most people don't realize that when you pull in a document, if it's a scanned in document through a scanner, it's not searchable, because you need to be able to OCR that document and be able to see and find the data that's on that. So, and how you set up your searching and how you do that across those documents is really important to finding those. So I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do, is say, putting a system in place is a really valuable tool. And it gets right back to a lot of the topics you brought up in that first slide, James. So how about the next question, Jenny?
Keith, so what's important about that OCR is that your PDFs that you submit to regulatory filings, they also have to be OCR'd so that they can be submitted. And you don't want to be doing that at the last minute, which we've seen. So in terms of, to answer the question, in terms of managing information, resources, and content, you really want to keep it simple. Everything we're talking about today can be done simply, even for small companies. You want to create a folder structure and file names with specific taxonomy and a governance plan. Create a steward within your organization, not IT, someone who understands the knowledge and are experts, and who will become the steward and point of authority for your own information systems internally. It could be an external consultant as well. Create a means of backups of your data and systems. Don't rely too much on a multitude of cloud systems, and beware of the business risks and compliance to quality manufacturing about having too many cloud suppliers. Have a strategic plan, and this can be very simple for a small company, how to manage and grow your IT systems as the company grows, and have adequate security controls around that. And don't think, I don't have time. IT and knowledge management isn't a priority right now. We're too small to worry about this. If you don't have time now, then when will we do?
And to that point, James, I think that, the concept of appointing a steward, that steward could be one person when you're a small company and you have somebody that just is laying out the groundwork for how you do that. But as you grow and as you add more departments within a company, what you might want to do is have a representative from each department, so that you can work together and know how data is going to flow from one area to another. I know that's a common problem that we have, is that some people classify data one way in one department and a different way in a different department. And that it makes, you have to end up doing a mapping exercise later on to kind of reconcile that data across it. So by having some group or a smaller contingent within your company that are helping to lay out the groundwork for that, it helps you in the long run to find data and to categorize your data effectively.